Gone are the days of a simple 9-to-5 job or running your own business. Instead, there's now a third option, the gig economy. The gig economy is the modern labor market. A freelancer has no set schedule and no boss. Being able to choose your own hours, work when you want, how you want, is truly changing people's lives for the better. But with all choices, they come at a cost. The world is about the give and take. If you want more freedom and flexibility, you also lose perks, benefits, and protections that come with a standard salaried position. It's all about trade-offs. By classifying Uber drivers as employees rather than independent contractors, you destroy Uber and consequently the entire freelance gig economy. Making Uber drivers employees will mean higher costs, fewer options, and longer waiting times, and lower quality service for all of us. America is about choices, freedom. As cliche as it is the fundamental basis of our nation. Trying to regulate and force a one-size-fits-all approach to the economy will lead to ruin. Let's keep innovation and choice alive. Just say no to mandated employee classification for Uber.
Uber is all about convenience, but for the drivers, benefits are up for debate, specifically being a freelancer or an employee. To be clear, I'm in favor of Uber drivers being employees. Although employees are more expensive, drivers are people just like you and me, and they need benefits and a living wage. The rise of the gig economy has meant corporations treat contractors or freelancers like second-class citizens, and I'm not okay with that. Let's get real. Employment rights are non-existent for independent contractors. They have to pay their own taxes, they don't get unemployment or workers' compensation unless they're paid for it themselves. Would you want a job like that? The answer is likely no. Uber needs skin in the game. They need to be responsible for their drivers, and that means drivers need to be employees, not freelancers. And for one, as a passenger, I would feel more secure with an employee that a company takes responsibility for. They need to get real. Uber drivers are employees. End of story.
Welcome back to Bold TV. I'm David Grasso. Today's burning question: are Uber drivers employees or freelance contractors? Let's meet today's panelists. Of course, we have Gavin Wax. He's the president of the New York Young Republican Club, and Pavlina Osta. She's a millennial expert. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much.
So we heard your arguments. Why do Uber drivers need to be employees? Pavlina, you first.
The people that drive us they're people, okay? Like, they are not treated like people when they work for Uber, and that's my problem. I think they're treated like second-class citizens half the time.
Well, look, I think they're people too, but at the end of the day, they made a choice. They made a choice to work for Uber, and as a result, they have their own hours, they have no boss, they have a lot of freedom, they have a lot of flexibility, they use their own car, and they're enjoying it. If they didn't enjoy it, they wouldn't be working there. They could be a cabbie, they could be a taxi driver, and I think when you give up those rights to, say, minimum wage or whatever it is, you gain in return flexibility and the benefits of being your own boss, which in this day and age, who doesn't want to be their own boss? Do you want to answer to some schlub in a bigger office? No, you want to be your own man, your own woman, independent.
That's true, but a lot of people that do drive for Uber, they are, they're immigrants coming into the country, or they are, women that they're maybe like a new mom, and like this is something that they can do in like the part-time, but and like the flexible hours aren't that flexible because like we take it for granted here in New York City. We have Uber drivers everywhere. If you go to a smaller city, they don't really get flexible hours. They're like the one person that takes them to the airport. Maybe that's like their big ride for the day. And there's certain rush hours where they have to wait for those. So it's not really that flexible depending on where you live.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Cost. Okay. Employees are expensive, Pavlina, and a lot of us like Uber because it's cheaper. What would making Uber drivers employees do to the cost of Uber?
So it would probably go up, but
20% minimum.
Right, and like the thing is, we already pay so much for Ubers and like Uber Blacks and all of these other ones. But the thing is, in the beginning, with the whole gig economy and Uber and Lyft, they really kind of like sacrificed their morals a little bit, I think, in not having them as minimum wage, because it's not like I don't know, I try to tip my Uber drivers, but I feel like a lot of people don't tip their Uber drivers. And I've talked to a lot of people about like a lot of different Uber drivers, and like they don't live off of these tips, so they do need to get that minimum wage because they're not like waiters or waitresses, you know?
Okay, Gavin, feel-good policies that make things expensive. Welcome to the state of California for a second, right?
Exactly. It's all about the consequences. And California is unique. They bring us Uber through Silicon Valley and their innovation, and they're the first to kill it with the AB5 laws. But look, at the end of the day, we need to be able to transport ourselves to and from work, to and from studios such as this. We need to do what we need to do. We can't afford that if prices keep going up. If Uber has to hire, hundreds of thousands of employees, hire a whole new team of lawyers and supporting HR staff, the costs will go up by at a minimum 20%, and that affects all of us. Further, when they have the costs go up, there's going to be less drivers. Right now, they're in a frenzy to get more drivers. More drivers mean more competition. More competition means lower prices. And if we want to talk about the working men and women of this country, let's look at the outer boroughs. The outer boroughs of New York have no public transportation. There's no subways. There's bad bus lines. How do they get to and from work? They use things like Ubers because it's more affordable, and it's the only option out there, especially if they don't have a car or they can't pay insurance or they maybe not have the amenities that they have in the suburbs. So Uber is helping not only the workers, but it's helping of Uber, but it's helping workers across the country because they're giving them more transportation options at an affordable price.
But to push back, Gavin, what Pavlina's saying, these are people. They need health insurance, and that's really hard in this country.
Agreed.
So how do we not make things expensive, but make sure we're taking care of people?
Look, I understand the need for some of these benefits and some of these perks. And that's a much more encompassing question than just putting new regulations and laws on Uber. Because at the end of the day, if you force Uber to make them employees, it doesn't mean everyone's getting hired. It just means they're only going to hire a few people, and then the other people are going to have nothing. They're still not going to have insurance, and now they're not going to have a job. So again, it's not just we can just snap our fingers and now everyone becomes an Uber driver with full pension, making at least minimum wage and getting healthcare benefits. They may just not have a job at all because Uber will just cut back.
Pavlina, what do you think about that?
So, yes, they will have to do that, but there are things like recent statistic that came out. Over 5,000 people have been sexually assaulted in just 2017 and 2018 in Ubers. So, Uber they can't really regulate and take care of their drivers and fire the drivers.
So you'd rather have a smaller
I'd
Uber
rather
that
have
does it right? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, and the numbers of those sexual assaults aren't even going down because Uber doesn't take responsibility of those drivers. I'd much rather still have them as employees, even if there's fewer, to make sure that they are...
But ultimately isn't the poor that suffer, like Gavin's saying, because if the price goes up, people who take Uber Blacks aren't going to care because they put it on their corporate account.
I feel like most people that take Ubers, you already are not, you're in the middle class and up, you know what I mean? If you're...
Uber Pool that would go away. There would no longer be Uber Pool if they had to pay employees. And maybe an Uber X, maybe an Uber Black, that's one thing. But Uber Pools, that's gone. You can't carpool anymore. And carpooling has been something that, working class people have been using for generations. Just, they didn't use an app before. But back to the issue of sexual assault. Look, if Uber is not regulating themselves properly and they're allowing these assaults to occur, then the market will correct that because competition, and there's plenty of competition like Lyft and others, will come in and they'll say, look, we're going to put tougher standards on our drivers. We're going to be putting more security in place to make sure these things don't happen, mandate cameras, mandate these kinds of things, and then Uber will go the way of the dodo bird. We don't need the government to step in.
Pavlina, you have the last word because we're running out of time here.
Okay, they're not even vetting their drivers, though, and that's a big issue, and that's why I still think that they need to be employees. I understand that, the competition, can vet it out and everything, but ultimately they need to be vetting their drivers and they need to treat them like the people that they are.
So remind us, Uber should have freelancers?
Uber should have giant machine guns on the side and a big American flag and just shoot out Big Macs. That's America.
There you go.
How about you, Pavlina? What do you think they should do? Do the right thing?
I think they should do the right thing, yes.
Absolutely.
And
Well, thank you so much for being here for this very spirited panel today, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. Have a great day.